Nathan felt a sudden break inside him the moment he found out the truth about Bailey. It wasn't just a shock. It was a harsh, jarring blow that shattered every memory he had of Maxie and shook all the beliefs he thought were solid. Finding out Bailey was Peter's daughter struck him hard like a sudden cold jab he couldn't brush off. For a long moment, he just stood there, caught between disbelief and heartbreak, like the world had suddenly flipped into a version of reality that felt completely foreign to him. What weighed on him the most wasn't the child, who was innocent and blameless, but the fact that Maxie had endured such deep, twisted chaos that she had to keep her daughter's true identity a secret. Nathan felt hurt, not because Maxie found love with someone else after him, but because she had gone through her pain alone, stuck in a nightmare he wasn't around to help her escape. The question kept swirling in his mind like a storm. If he had made it, could he have saved her? Could he have kept Bailey safe from a world of fear, danger, and lies? That guilt pressed down on him, heavy and hard to shake, turning the shock into something darker and more painful. He worked to calm his breathing, but the feeling that things weren't real just kept closing in on him. Maxie's decisions, the way she kept things to herself, and how desperate she seemed all showed she was trying to survive, not turning her back on love. She felt such a mix of emotions inside that he couldn't tell where the pain ended and the understanding began. This new truth was pushing him beyond anything he ever thought possible, tearing apart the past he believed he knew and turning the present into something shaky and hard to predict. Bailey's existence wasn't just a simple fact anymore. It was a spark that could set off a chain reaction, shaking up every part of Port Charles. As Nathan stood right in the heart of the gathering storm, he knew this discovery was just the start. The story was changing once more, twisting into darker forms, and he felt himself getting dragged into a new storm of consequences that no one, not even Maxie, expected. Maxie and Nathan's reunion didn't turn out to be the gentle closure they'd hoped for. Instead, it quickly turned into an emotional mess neither of them was ready to handle. What could have been a delicate link between past and present instead blew up into a mess of accusations, old wounds, and painful truths that had been kept quiet for way too long. Maxie, shaking under the burden of years she had faced on her own, ended up defending decisions she never wanted to make, decisions shaped by fear, the need to survive, and all the mess Peter had thrown her into. Nathan, stunned by the sudden reality of Bailey and the mess of secrets that came with her, reacted with a pain he couldn't control. Their voices, once filled with affection, trust, and memories of unconditional devotion, became sharp and broken, reopening wounds that were only just starting to heal. Every word, every accusation just pushed them further apart until it hit them hard and cold. Whatever they used to be just couldn't survive in this part of their lives. The past had changed too suddenly. The truth had changed them so much they were barely the same. And the love they used to depend on like a compass just couldn't lead them back to one another anymore. In the quiet moments after everything fell apart, Spinelli couldn't help but feel a small, strange relief. It wasn't happiness at Nathan's pain, but a quiet, personal relief that Maxie had finally cut loose from a part of her life that kept her trapped for far too long. He imagined a time when she couldn't be caught between memories and what was expected of her. A time where her heart could start to heal, maybe even make space for him once more. Even as Spinelli felt thankful, he realized the consequences were still ahead. Maxie's heartbreak and Nathan's anger were already shaking things up, changing everything around them and pushing all three lives in a direction nobody could have expected. Nathan felt a shadow creeping in, pulling tighter with every thought of betrayal, shock, and the hard truth about Bailey. The man who used to see himself as loyal and loving now felt those beliefs slipping away under the strain of all he had missed and what Maxie had kept hidden. With every new discovery, he drifted away from the kind guardian he once was and edged nearer to the shadow he had feared his entire life. Maxie felt it too, the change in his eyes, the tightness in his breathing, the quiet storm brewing under the surface. She understood the real threat wasn't only his anger, but the legacy tied to the bloodline he'd spent his life trying to reject. If Nathan gave in to his anger and let the darkness inside him take over, he might end up just like what he despised most, taking on Fison's cruelty as his own. And if that happened, Maxie couldn't only be heartbroken, she'd be in serious danger. Port Charles was about to confront Nathan, but not the man they knew. This Nathan was shaped by pain and family history, a haunting shadow of a nightmare they all believed was over.